If one thing kept the Israelites alive in the Old Testament, kept the Jews together and kept them a great people in spite of all of their adversities, it was this idea of hope. Their ancient concept of confidently expecting God to do what he said he would do. Confidently trusting and relying on the nature and character of God to be consistent. Whenever they hoped in anything else, it was shown that these things could not be consistent all the time. In other words, what can a man depend on today? Can he depend on his paycheck? Can he depend on his wife? Can he depend on the behavior of his children? Can he depend on the behavior of friends? Can he depend on the response, the right response from friends, employees, employers? There is absolutely nothing that a person can depend upon in this life except God. And that's our plea to you in Radio Land, to anchor your hope in the God who is consistent, the God who is controlled. Once again, the Hebrew concept of hope did not carry the concept of hope that we have today. As a matter of fact, the Hebrews were rebuked for having that kind of hope, the kind of hope that we have today, which is borrowed from the Greeks, that depends upon circumstances and people. Remember, Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 5 said, "Cursed is the man who trusts in the man whose arm is flesh." Many times we put our hope and trust in men around us, a partner, a friend. And sure, friends, I'm not saying that you should not have a certain degree of trust, a certain degree of confident expectation in this friend, this neighbor. But friends, this is not where this should never be where you should place your anchor. Your anchor should always be placed in God. Let's notice how God warns Israel about making treaties with other countries. Remember Isaiah chapter 36, verses 6 through 9? When God warned Israel about making treaties with the other nations? Or how about Isaiah chapter 30, verse 3? Remember, he says, "The Egyptians are men and not God. Their horses are flesh and not spirit. When the Lord stretches out his hand, and the helper will stumble, and he who is helped will fall, and they will all perish together." Or how about Isaiah chapter 30 verse 3, where the Bible says, "Therefore shall the protection of Pharaoh turn to your shame, and the shelter in the shadow of Egypt to your humiliation. For though the officials are at Zoan, and his envoys reach Hanes, everyone comes to shame through a people that cannot profit them, that brings neither help nor profit, but shame and disgrace." Israel was depending on Egypt to deliver them from the Assyrians and then from the Babylonians. Every time you looked up, they turned to Egypt, or they turned to other nations instead of God. They were depending on horses and men who were flesh. They were depending on circumstances, physical tangibles. They were depending on size and numbers. They were depending on wealth and money. They were confidently expecting and trusting and having faith that these things could deliver them. And the text is saying that your hope is going to turn into despair. And once your hope turns into despair, then you will become treacherous. Then you will become nothing. Then you will not have the willpower to go on because you've trusted in the wrong thing. Friends, needless to say, when I look at many of the prisoners behind bars, as I've gone through and preached to many people that are incarcerated in our state institutions, When I talk to many of the drug addicts on the streets, it keeps coming back to me that these people were disappointed. They were let down by people in their lives. Somebody let them down drastically. Somebody wrote a script for them to follow, and they followed it to the T. And they were supposed to get some kind of reciprocity from their following that script, and they did not receive the full reciprocity. They were let down. And when they were let down, they lost hope. They lost confidence. They lost faith. They lost trust. And depression set in, and they found the wrong solution to lift them out of their depression, to bring back what they felt they lost in trusting in men, in wealth. Friends, it was Jeremiah once again who said, or God said through Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 17 verse 5, "Cursed is the man who trusts in a man whose arm is flesh." Israel, Egypt cannot deliver you. Friend, your friends cannot deliver you. Israel, don't trust in the nations around you for deliverance. Don't put your confidence, don't put your anchor of hope in them. Place your anchor of hope in God, because He is the only one who is immovable. Once again, friends, the nature of the church, what is it? The nature of the church is the fact that she is a group of people, a body of people who have anchored her confident expectation, her trust, her faith in God and nothing else. Hope, friends. The word hope I take for faith. And indeed, hope is nothing else but the consistency of faith, as one has said. Friends, won't you reach out? Reach out today. Give us a call and let us minister to you. Let us share with you the faith that was once and for all delivered unto the saints. Take hold today, friends, to the only anchor for your hope for life, and that's God.